I have spent over $4 million of my own hard-earned money running ads to generate clients for my business. In this video, I want to walk you through the simple client-getting system that I've created in order to generate high-ticket clients virtually out of thin air. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ravi Abuvala, the founder of Scaling with Systems, where we build custom end-to-end marketing systems for coaches, consultants, agencies, and online service providers. This means that I have not only spent millions of dollars of my own money generating clients for my business, but I have also helped build over 1,000 marketing campaigns using the same systems I'm about to show you. The rest of this video is pulled directly from our free 4-week action plan, which you can get access to below. All right, so now let's talk about creating a client acquisition system. Okay, so now that we have a world-class offer, it's time to let as many people know about it as possible. And in order to achieve this, in order to do what is essentially marketing, right, letting as many people know what you're doing as possible, most people do what we like to call hand-to-hand combat. And this is where they are working for every single deal that they close. So they are literally doing hand-to-hand combat just to get deals in the door. So every single month, all of their deals reset. And not only that, but every single month they have to go back and exert the exact same amount of energy, if not more, because of increasing competition in the marketplace than they did the previous month. And as you can see, that is essentially a recipe for disaster or a recipe for burning out. Okay, so in this example, there's no leverage at all. All of the inputs equal the outputs, meaning that whatever you do that day will be a direct result of whatever you're going to get out, or I'm sorry, whatever you get out that day is a direct result of whatever you're putting in, right? And the great examples of what I call hand-to-hand combat is daily content posting, cold messaging, in-person meetings, et cetera, et cetera. And some of you may be watching this and you may see my content online and you go, Ravi, you guys put out 30 long-form YouTube videos a month. You know, isn't that hand-to-hand combat? Not really, because I do have leverage in that, right? I actually just finished building out a system I just shared with our clients of how we've pretty much automated our entire podcast and YouTube process. So all I do is once a month sit down in my office and I sit down with my creative director and I rip out 8 to 10 videos just right there in that 1 to 2 day period, right? And everything else from there is taken care of. So that's called leverage, okay? So, but most people in the daily content posting world, you're doing everything yourself, coming up with the idea, shooting it, editing it, scripting it, posting it, responding back to messages, et cetera, right? Cold messaging, cold emailing, cold DMing, trying to do in-person meetings, all of these things are things where there's no real leverage in that situation, okay? And just to be clear, not having leverage does not mean that you're not making money. You know, I was earning $100,000 a month doing cold emailing. There's nothing wrong with cold emailing. And we sometimes still have our clients do it depending on their industry. But I'm saying that there's easier ways to make money, right? So you can make $1 million working incredibly hard every single day, or you can make $1 million barely working at all, right? So that's not like a 4-hour work week thing. That's just, I've learned that myself, okay? So this is all okay. Hand-to-hand combat is okay when you're just starting out. But the only real way to scale, which I'm assuming is why you're watching these videos right now, is to add in leverage, okay? So let's talk about what is leverage and how do we use it to acquire clients, all right? So leverage is when the output in a given system is much higher than the inputs, AKA when we do something one time, it generates something else forever, right? So the input does not equal the output in this sense. There's leverage involved. So I put one thing in and I get 10 things out, right? So the one thing could be a unit of energy, time, money, whatever else it is. I put that one thing in and I get those 10 things out. So a great example of leverage that almost anyone in the world would know is the stock market, right? Let's say the S&P 500. We can put the money that we've earned one time. So I worked, let's just say, you know, just to make it incredibly simple, let's say that I was walking on the street and somebody just gave me $100, right? I wish that would happen, but it doesn't, right? So someone just gives me $100. So that one-time energy of me walking down the street and taking that $100, I then put that money into the stock market and I don't touch it for 20 years. At the end of the 20 years, I probably have like $3,000 or something along those lines. I don't know the math. You can go check it. The idea behind it is that I literally just put it in the stock market and I never touched it again, and it grew on its own. There was leverage involved in that because the companies that I was investing in, they grew, but I didn't have to show up to those board meetings and work to make those companies grow. So that's a great example of leverage when the $100 I put in became, let's say, $3,000 without any additional work on my end. Okay. So how does this apply to your business? Well, in your business, client acquisition is the first place that we want to apply leverage. Okay. A product or service without marketing is essentially useless. And I'm sorry to say that, but it may as well not exist, right? Some could even argue in today's day and age that marketing is even more important than the product itself, at least in the very beginning, to get kind of some promotion and movement on your product or service. And this is proven by the world's richest influencers, right? You have Kylie Jenner created $1 billion company, I think before she was 30 years old, on the back of her Instagram. Is her cosmetic brand actually the most amazing product in the world? I'll be honest with you, I don't use cosmetics, but I don't think that based on what I see, there's nothing inherently unbelievable about it. It's not like she created the Apple of cosmetic brands. It was that she had so much attention, so much leverage from her being able to post one time on Instagram and have tens of millions of people see it, that when she attached a product to the back end of it, she obviously was smart enough to figure out what is the product that's my target market's most likely to monetize, and that was probably her target market was, maybe young females, and that's why she decided on makeup. So she was able to say, okay, then I just need to create this product. She partnered with a company, and she came out with whatever, Kylie Jenner, I don't know the name of the cosmetic line. But the point of that being that she had really no cosmetic experience previously, and you see this all the time also with The Rock and tequila, Conor McGregor, and I forget the whiskey or rum, what his drink is. These people have no experience in the drink business, but they know that they have a huge attention and eyeballs. Alcohol has an incredible margin, and almost all of their audience is going to drink alcohol because the majority of the world drinks alcohol, right? So we want to make sure that we're spending a lot of time and energy. I mean, in my personal opinion, definitely in the very beginning, 90% of your time should be spent on client acquisition, right? This doesn't mean that you have a bad product or service. It just means that you can always be tinkering with your product or service, but you need to always, always, always be doing marketing or sales, okay? So leverage in the client acquisition worlds would mean that we set something up one time and it brings us new leads, bookings, and clients with no additional input. And so this is actually inside Scaling with Systems. This is what we build for our clients, end-to-end system. We build this entire thing for them. But this is what I'm talking about here. This is we set it up one time, and then whether we're working, not working, I just came back from Cabo San Lucas for the past 5 days, and I had leads, bookings, and deals coming in while I didn't even open my computer one time, right? So that is what leverage is, a system, whether I work or not, bringing me in deals, bookings, and leads, right? An example of leverage is also this piece of content that you're consuming right now. So this will probably end to end between writing this out and shooting this, not including obviously the years it took me to get this knowledge, unique knowledge in the first place. But the actual writing it out and shooting it, well, let's say is 10 hours altogether, right? 3 to 4 hours to shoot, 6 hours to write it out and kind of come up with the concept. Well, that may seem like a lot of time, except for we're going to put this on our website, and we hope that you share this with people that you know. If this is really valuable, just share it. It's totally free with other people. And also, whenever we have leads coming in, they want to learn a little bit more information, we can send this to them as well. So this piece of content could be seen thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hopefully hundreds of thousands of times, right? And in that instance, I've worked 10 hours for hundreds of thousands of people to see this, for a few hundred of them to decide, let me reach out and see if these people are legit, for a few hundred to get on a phone call with us, for maybe a few dozen to actually close on a deal and work with us, okay? So that is an example of leverage. An example of something that is not leverage would be me trying to explain this entire concept that you see inside of here to every single person I was potentially interested in. So instead of creating this content one time and using video to distribute it out at leverage at scale without any additional work on my end, an example of something that's not leverage would be me literally coming up to every single person that I was talking to and saying, hey, okay, you want to work with us? Let me just walk through this every single time. And I had to go through a 3-hour spiel to convince this person to work with us every single day. And that's just one person, right? So, and you may be shocked. You're like, oh, that's an extreme case. I see it all the time. Well, it may not be that extreme, but I do see people when they come work with us and we're optimizing their sales process, their marketing process, they do something along those lines. They're doing the same thing every single day. Like, oh, I always got to, before I can close a deal, I always have to walk through this one piece of content. I always have to cover this one point with our clients. And we're like, well, why don't we put it in a video before they get on the call, so the calls are shorter, the sales cycle's faster, they can make a decision maybe even before they get on the call, and you can close more deals, right? So that would be an example of something that was not leverage that we turned leverage, okay? So now let's get into what is the most effective client acquisition system, and here I'm going to probably trigger some people. If set up correctly, this is full stop. Paid advertising is the most effective way to quickly and effectively grow your business. So yes, this means spending money to make money. Now, if it's not possible to do this, if you literally don't have for our clients, we ask for $500, but then we turn it into 3 to 5 times multiple and we guarantee their money back. But you have to have some money to start with ads. If you don't have like $300 to $500, then what you can do is you can kind of start what we do, what we talked about earlier with a hand-to-hand combat, cold emailing, direct messaging people, talking to your friends and family, whatever it takes to get some money in the door. But once you're able to get some money in the door, at least at Scaling Systems, we're able to build out a full end-to-end client acquisition marketing system, and we put in $1 and we get $4 out. So people always ask me, what should my budget for ads be? And I always answer the same way. If you know what you're doing and setting it up, you don't need a budget for ads, because before the first payment's due on your credit card for ads, you've already got a 3 to 5 times multiple from it. So you put $500 in, within 7 to 14 days, you've closed a deal from that. Let's just say you sell something at $3,000. You got 10 times out of the $300. And that's before you even make your credit card payment, right? And just to give you an example, I have one of our portfolio companies. I've taken from $0 to $650,000 a month in 120 days from paid traffic. It's outpaced this main company, Scaling with Systems, just because I've taken all of the knowledge and expertise I had in Scaling with Systems, and I was able to put it directly inside of that company, and I grew it a lot faster. Once again, that's also why we're able to help our clients really well, is because, myself and my team, we've accumulated knowledge from generating tens of millions of dollars online, and we're able to kind of condense that and say, this is what you should do based on 1,000 plus businesses worked with, and this amount of money you spend on ads, and this amount of money generated, right? So paid ads, there's no way that, at least in my day and age, I don't want to wait. Because I know paid ads works, it's silly to me to try to do something else first when I'm like, cool, if this offer is good enough, we should be able to run paid ads. And if the offer is not good enough, we should work to make it good enough, which is what we do inside Scaling Systems. And if it's not possible to make it good enough to work for paid ads, I simply don't want to do it. That's just not worth it for me, right? Because I'm looking for leverage, and I can click a button on paid ads and reach, as long as I'm willing to spend money, tens of millions of people with no additional work on my point, AKA leverage, versus if I wanted to reach tens of millions of people by saving money and sending direct messages or going to conferences, that would take so much time and energy that I'm just not willing to do, right? So like I said a second ago, paid traffic will always work. The only reason it hasn't worked is your offer, right? That's why you're going to see a common theme in this action plan here, and it's the prioritization of your actual offer, making sure it's incredibly dialed in and it's cold friendly, right? And what we need to do is we need to make sure that your unit economics work. I'm going to walk through what unit economics here in a moment, and solving for ads in the right order. So those are the two reasons that I see, if your offer is dialed, that people are not making enough money. So the first is unit economics, and this is essentially what is your ROI? What are the numbers that you're seeing from ads? So if you sell something for $5, it's going to be very, very difficult to be profitable on ads through Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, et cetera, et cetera. If you sell something for $5,000, it's almost guaranteed that you can be profitable on paid advertising if you know what you're doing. So unit economics is like, okay, I sell something for $5,000. It costs me $1,000 to fulfill it. So including salesperson, client success managers, services, ads, like just the delivery side. So that means I have $4,000 in profit to be able to acquire a customer. That means that I could spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 just to acquire the customer and still be netting at least $1,000, if not more, whenever I close that deal, right? So that's what unit economics work, right? So what does the click-through rate have to be? What does the cost per lead have to be? What does the cost per booked call have to be? What does the cost per sales call conducted have to be, right? All of these numbers are important to understand. What's the cost per customer have to be? And these are all the numbers that we break down with our clients, even just on the original sales call that we have with them, because we need to see, does this work out? So if you come onto the sales call, and we're going to walk you through kind of a one-pager of who we work with and why we work with these people that way you can see if it's worthwhile you guys working with us, and see if we can guarantee results. We're not even going to make an offer if we can't guarantee results. So one of the things is, like, we know that they need to be able to collect $1,000 minimum of cash at acquisition. Now, if you only acquire $500, we can help you adjust your offer so that you're able to acquire $1,000. Anybody that's selling for $500 can easily acquire $1,000 up front. I hope I said it right. Anybody that's selling something for $500 up front can easily make it $1,000 up front, right? And we'll teach you how to do that. And so we look at the unit economics. So even if you're not going to look at the unit economics, we know that in order for ads to work, in order for you to get the result that we want you to get, we have to run ads. In order for the ads to work, you have to have an offer that it collects at least $1,000 at signing, whatever you close the deal, right? So going back full circle to the avatar that I talked about in the first section of this, that's what the importance of that is. Because if I was helping somebody and they only make $50 or $100, sure, I could take their money, but I probably couldn't make ads work for them, or it'd be very, very difficult to do, okay? And then the second thing, if you do have unit economics working, is making sure that you're solving in the right order. So what do I mean by this? Just wait one second. So when we're running ads, we have to ask ourselves the question, first of all, are we getting leads at a decent cost? Meaning that are leads, are we getting qualified leads at a decent cost? So are we getting people that could potentially be booked calls and closed deals for our company? That's the first thing we have to look at. If that's not working, then we need to go look at the audience and the ads. This is a very high level overview of what we work with our clients on. Second, are the leads booking a call at a decent rate? So, okay, we have identified that we're getting qualified leads, but are those leads actually booking a call, right? So are they actually setting a time on our calendar for our sales team to speak with them? If they're not, then we need to figure out what is that asset that we're using in order to get the person from a qualified lead to someone that's scheduled on the calendar. Third, are those qualified scheduled calls on the calendar actually showing up to the book calls? If the answer to that's no, then we need to figure out where in the process, is there not enough friction? Is there too much friction? Are you not having enough reminders? Do you not have any assets on the thank you page? What are keeping these people from deciding, I don't really want to show up to this call, right? And then fourth, are we closing people that show up to these booked calls? So that's the last element of it, is like, okay, we're getting qualified calls, they're showing up, but you're 0 for 10, you're 0 for 15. Why is that the case? It's probably your pitch. It's probably that you're not able to actually show the value of what you're discussing or what you're trying to sell, right? And in that instance, we would listen to your sales call recordings. We'd give you long form feedback. We'd hop on calls with you and we'd say, hey, say this instead, use this deck instead, et cetera, right? So these are all, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to solve for a bad close rate when you're not getting qualified leads, because the problem is not the close rate because you're speaking to unqualified people. It's that you're not getting qualified leads in the first place. So identifying this incorrectly is what most people do when they're running ads, and that can cost you not only tens of thousands of dollars in ad costs that's down the drain, but hundreds of thousands of dollars in opportunity cost if you got it right? So each of these segments have specific solutions which we help solve for our clients, okay? Now, paid traffic should never be the forever strategy, just to be clear here, but it is an incredibly powerful tool to get immediate momentum, which you can then use to build long-term tools on top of, like email lists, social media, search engine optimization, et cetera, et cetera. So for us, we don't like just only have ads running. Like our company, actually the majority of our deals do not come from paid advertising, but they did in the beginning. But then what I did was I took the cash flow and I took the time that I had from not doing hand-to-hand combat from running these ads, and I started building up much more long-term sustainable systems, like a YouTube channel that has over 40,000 views, a podcast that has tens of thousands of yearly downloads. We have an email list of over 120,000 people. So now I built all of those things on the backs of ads, and now those things have much more quadratic growth, and those have even more leverage than ads. And so those things are bringing in more business than ads are for us now, right? But to have started that from scratch, even if I was like, oh, I just want to go viral organically, it would have been very, very difficult to do, okay? And it's also very important to note that you're able to get feedback from the marketplace a lot quicker in order to iterate and make your offer better when you're running paid advertising, okay? So if you're waiting for business to come to you, or you're sending 5 cold emails a day, it would take you weeks or months or maybe even never to get the feedback that you need to know if this is working or not. So for our clients, what we do is, first thing we do within 24 hours is we iterate the offer and make it cold friendly. Then we do something I call the 50K script, which validates the offer to their warm market in order to get in anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 in cash, just from pretty much a promotional campaign that we write and script and send for our clients. And then that gives us initial feedback for their warm marketplace, but then we launch ads within 72 hours, and we can know within 48 hours if this offer is resonating with the marketplace. So end to end, refining the offer to knowing if it's working, let's say 5 days total. total, right? When you are doing cold emailing, hand-to-hand combat, when you're doing posting every single day, when you're waiting business to come to you, it could take you months or years to figure out what we were able to figure out in 5 days, right? So once again, with using money and using leverage, you're able to move faster, but the only downside is you're using money, but that's only a downside if you don't know what you're doing, which is typically what happens if you try to do this stuff by yourself, okay? And like I said, at the same time, you could spend $100 on Facebook ads and know whether within 48 hours it's working or not. So you don't have to spend $3,000, you don't have to spend $10,000. Literally within $100, we'll know, going back up here a little bit, are we getting qualified leads? Are we getting booked calls at a decent rate? So for $100, I might not be closing deals, but I should be at least be getting leads and booked calls that I know could eventually lead to a deal, right? So let's wrap this up with talking about which paid advertising platform you should use, okay? And just as a quick note, if you guys are getting value out of this, the only thing that I would ask for you is either A, book a time to speak with us if you would like to. There's a link somewhere around this video and we'll be able to walk you through all this stuff, how we can do this for you. Or B, if maybe you can't work with us or you don't want to, the only request that I have is maybe you can just send this link to somebody that could get value out of it. It costs you absolutely nothing and it could seriously help them grow their business, right? So let's talk about which paid advertising platform you should use, okay? So our personal favorite advertising platform is Facebook ads. I have spent well over $5 million on all of the advertising platforms, not of my clients' money, of my own money. And Facebook is by far the best, right? Anybody who tells you otherwise, they're like, oh, YouTube ads is the best, TikTok ads are the best. They're just simply trying to sell you something. This I'm giving you for free, okay? Facebook ads is by far the best. It's the easiest to set up. It's the easiest to use. They have the lowest cost per impression, meaning how much it costs for you to show your ads. It has the best targeting and has the most built-in lead mechanisms. And what a lead mechanism is essentially how are you converting an eyeball, the person on Facebook, over to a closed deal. I'm not going to go too far into this because I want to be respectful of your time, but this will be linked in the doc that you're going to get your hands on here. But inside of Facebook, you have something called Instant Forms, which is like a website on Facebook. So you don't even have to build your own website. And we get leads for our clients for $6 on that, qualified leads. And then we get book calls for $30 on that. So we don't even have to build a whole website for them. We're able to very quickly get an ad up running, using the right targeting, and have a whole website built out with these clients in like a matter of a few hours. Sometimes we'll do it on the onboarding call, right? And so Facebook has these built-in lead mechanisms. None of the other advertising platforms, as of the shooting this video, have those lead mechanisms, okay? So for us inside of Scaling with Systems, we set up the entire Facebook advertising campaign for our clients. We script the ads, we edit the videos once they've shot them, set up the targeting, set up the ad copy, we create the lead mechanisms for them, et cetera, et cetera. But I can't show you how to set up all of these ads inside of this video here. It would be out of the scope of this video. I just literally, it would be a 4-hour video if I did all of that. But I do have some really, really great YouTube videos that go in depth for it. You can watch for free. I'll link below this video as well. I walk through how to set up a Facebook advertising campaign, naming conventions, what the Facebook advertising hierarchy is, the only Facebook advertising audience you need, how to create a winning Facebook ad. You can get access to all of these things and you can kind of piece it together yourself if you would like. Or once again, just to wrap it up, if you want to, us to kind of take care of all of this for you and you just don't want to worry with it and you want to get guaranteed results, my recommendation would be to click the button somewhere around or below this video. Let us help you scale your business for guaranteed growth, okay? So that is how we set up an acquisition system. The next thing we're going to talk about is how do we set up an effective sales system, all right? Thanks, guys.